The New York Yankees made some deals at the deadline, and everyone wants to talk about what they got in return. However, we're going to talk about what did the Yankees give up at the MLB level to get guys they wanted. They traded three guys from the MLB level. It was Joey Gallo, JP Sears, and Jordan Montgomery. We're going to talk about those three right here on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek, and I'm here with John, and let's get straight into it. So the Yankees traded Joey Gallo to the Dodgers, and Gallo's been better since going to the Dodgers. He's hitting 267 for them with a 371 on base and a 667 slugging. That's a 1038 OPS, a 180 OPS plus. He's got three homers with them. Now that's only 12 games, just 30 at bats, 35 plate appearances. It's not a big sample size, but he has been better since going to the Yankees. I'll go to John first, as you are the Yankees fan here. Thoughts on Joey Gallo?
Man, I am so sick of Joey Gallo. I am glad he's gone. Yankees should have made this trade a million times over. I mean, honestly, I would have considered trying. Like, I don't have a lot of money, but I would have been like, said to the Dodgers, "Hey, here's $250. Just take him off our hands." I'm glad he's gone. And I don't care what he's doing in LA. Like, let's be honest here. Like you said, yeah, he's kind of jumped out to a hot start, but it's like you said, it's a mental thing with him. It's not that he's a good player. It's just he has that burden in New York where he is miserable lifted. He goes to a place in LA where, I mean, I don't think incredibly highly of LA fans. And for a guy that wilts under pressure, it's a good place for him. The fans are gone after the fifth inning anyway. So what does it matter for him?
And they
Is
don't
he going
show
to be a
up till the
playoff?
third inning.
Well, there you go. And I mean, yeah, maybe if he's I think he'll be a non-factor in the playoffs. Like, yeah, maybe he'll do all right now, but he's done. I don't think very highly of him. I don't think he's going to be doing anything in the playoffs. So good for him that he jumped out to a hot start. And I noticed that he has 14 strikeouts in 35 plate appearances, which is still a 40% clip. So,
I mean, that's
it's
Joey
not.
Gallo.
Yeah,
That's Joey
exactly.
Gallo.
Things aren't going to change that much for him. So yeah, he got on a couple balls early on, but he's nothing, and he's not going to be a difference maker anyway.
I think like he could be a solid I think the thing with Gallo is he's solid defensively. He's not I don't think he's gonna win a Gold Glove or anything, but like he's solid. If you need to throw him out in the outfield for whatever reason, he's very serviceable out in the outfield, and he does give you at least a power threat off the bench for the Dodgers. So especially being placed in LA, there's not going to be any pressure on him. I think it's a perfect kind of place for him to maybe try and rebound before hitting free agency. And it was truly just a mental thing in New York, it seemed, because we knew what he was in Texas with the Rangers. Big strikeouts, low average, but he's going to give you a lot of homers. He's the first player to hit 100 homers before hitting 100 singles. That tells you the story right there. That truly does tell you the story. I mean, he's a 200 strikeout guy twice. I don't know if anyone else has ever done it twice, but he has. Yeah, you know what you're gonna get from him. It's one of those guys where if you don't have a big strikeout guy on your team and you need some power, he might not be a bad fit, but especially for the Yankees, he just never was a good fit for them.
Yeah, that was his own fault. The fact that it didn't work in New York was his fault. And like you said, he's going to bring value to the Dodgers. I mean, if the Dodgers want him, I mean, that's something, right? And I hope it affects his free agency though, and he has to take a short-term deal or something. I hope he still gets, good for him if he gets paid, but I hope it's a short-term deal. And yeah, I don't wish anything good for the guy.
No, I want him to still bounce back because Joey Gallo, I don't think we all know Joey Gallo's never gonna be some amazing player. I don't think he's ever gonna be an all-star again. But like I said, I still think he has value on the right team. Especially a team like the Dodgers, there's some value there. And to be fair, the Dodgers have been playing Cody Bellinger. Bellinger hasn't been that good this year. Gallo and Bellinger haven't been all that different this year. Obviously Gallo's been better since going with the Dodgers. That's and I know Bellinger is going to be an arbitration guy after this year. That arbitration is going to be 17, 18 million because it was 17 million this year. Maybe they say, hey, we'll give a 1-year deal for 3 million, 4 million to Joey Gallo. and we'll play him over Bellinger. Who knows? Because Bellinger seems like a DFA candidate, or not a non-tender candidate after this year. But yeah, obviously for the Yankees, makes total sense to get rid of him. Next up is JP Sears, part of the Frankie Montas deal. Obviously, Montas' start has been a little rocky with the Yankees. He's pitching better tonight, though, as we're recording. But JP Sears with the Yankees had a 2.05 ERA in 7 games. 2 of them starts, 22 innings, and he has a 1.76 ERA. With Oakland, 3 games, 15 and a third innings, an overall 1.93 ERA this year. Once again, not a big sample size, even if you include the Yankees number, but he's been solid this year. Thoughts on JP Sears? Obviously getting Montas and Trevino makes sense. But yeah, thoughts on JP Sears?
I mean, I like JP Sears. I liked him right from the start. And especially in those 2 starts he made as a Yankee, he pitched really well in those 2 starts. I don't think he gave up a run in either of them. He had a good mound presence. I really liked him, and I mean, you can even check the archives. I mean, Barnes and I both said it. We really like the guy, and we're hoping to see him more in the future, maybe as a potential starter. So, yeah, it was unfortunate to see that he had to be the guy that got traded, and it's unfortunate that Montas can't pitch better, or hasn't pitched better yet. I do think he's going to be a better pitcher than he has been. Um, as far as what he's doing now in Oakland, it's a small sample size, but I think what I thought of him as a pitcher in Yankee Stadium, that plays really well in Oakland, where the Oakland Coliseum is such a pitcher's park. I think he's going to have pretty good numbers out there. He's a solid starter, and I think Oakland got themselves a really good pitcher in this deal. So I think from their perspective, it's a good deal for Oakland, because I think Sears is going to pitch well out there.
Yeah, and I say this with trades, it has to hurt a little bit what you're giving up for the trade to be fair. If you're getting something you really like, you got to part way with something you don't necessarily want to part away with, or you're not super comfortable parting away with. And for Yankees fans, it's kind of with JP Sears. Not the biggest name, but he's been solid when he's been in the big leagues this year, and he's continued to do that with Oakland. Yes, obviously, small sample size. Even with the Yankees, a small sample size. But you're getting a guy who seems to be one of those kind of high floor pitchers. Not a super high ceiling, but definitely a high floor guy, and seems that he can at least be a rotation guy back into the rotation at the very least, and maybe has the upside to be, a borderline 2, but more of a 3 guy in the right rotation. So I think it's like I said, I think it's short sample size, but he's been very good in his limited time in the big leagues. So next up, we're gonna go cover the new St. Louis Cardinals pitcher in Jordan Montgomery, part of the Harrison Bader trade. We know why the Yankees got Bader. Obviously, hasn't played yet for the Yankees, but I think we all know the reasons why they got Bader. However, they did have to give up Jordan Montgomery. It goes back to the thing I said about JP Sears. When you get something you want, sometimes you have to give away something you're not necessarily comfortable giving up, or you don't necessarily want to give up. And it seems like Jordan Montgomery's found a home in St. Louis. 25 and 2/3 innings in 4 starts for him, a 0.35 ERA, including a complete game shutout a couple days ago where he threw I think it was a 1-hitter, I think it was. So he's been very solid for the Cardinals. John, obviously, thoughts on Jordan Montgomery and what he's done in St. Louis?
Well, I'm one of the few fans that actually doesn't mind the Jordan Montgomery trade. I liked him, but he was a 5th starter for the Yankees. He's only made one, I believe, let me double check this right now, but I believe he's only made one postseason appearance for the Yankees, and that was 4 innings back in 2020. So it was a strike COVID shortened season anyway. I don't think the Yankees really lost that much in Jordan Montgomery. I mean, I liked him, but he was just a 5th starter. And like you said, they got him they had to give up something to get Harrison Bader, who's going to be a difference in the playoffs when Montgomery isn't. So, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's pitching well right now, but he's also pitching better than he ever pitched for the Yankees before. I mean, he has never pitched at the level he's pitching right now in St. Louis. He likely probably fired up and because he was unhappy about the trade. I don't think he wanted to leave the Yankees, so there might be that extra competitive juice going through him right now. I don't know how long it's going to last for. Maybe the rest of his career, though I would doubt it. I think he's just going to eventually, he's pitching over his head right now, and he's going to come back down to earth eventually. So as much, I wish him well. Hopefully, maybe he's happy in St. Louis, gets a great deal at the end of the season from them, a couple like a long-term deal because he's going to be a free agent. But I didn't think he was going to be returning to the Yankees after the season anyway. I didn't think they're going to resign him. So, you know, I think he's doing well right now, but I also think he's pitching over his head. So it looks like a bad deal in the moment, but he's pitching over his head.
Yeah, I do also want to add though with Montgomery, and I said this when Steven Matz went to the Cardinals this offseason. I said it, I didn't like say it, but I was like in my head thinking it. The Cardinals defense, they have one of the best defenses in the league. Goldschmidt's a gold glover. Edman, I think, won a gold glove. DeYoung had won a gold glove. I know he hasn't been playing the whole year. And Edmonds moved over to short. Arenado's won a gold glove. I think Tyler O'Neill won a gold glove. Bader, obviously he's not there now, but he was a gold glove guy. I think Carlson will win a gold glove at some point. They have a bunch of gold glovers, a bunch of very good defensive players, and you have Yadier Molina behind the plate this year. And when it was Steven Matz going there, I'm like, hey, he's a ground ball pitcher. He throws a lot. He's a sinker guy. If he plays the contact, it could work to his favor because that defense is so good behind him. It's almost kind of what Montgomery's doing. It's not like he's gone crazy and just striking out a ridiculous amount of guys. Like, it's not. His strikeout per nines have gone from 7.6 with the Yankees to 8.4 with the Cardinals. That's not like a massive jump. I think part of it is that defense behind him is spectacular. And he's the guy who's I think, can take advantage of that defense behind him. Not to say the Yankees have a bad defense, but I think the Cardinals defense is just at that level where it will help someone like him. And also too, in his 3 starts at Busch Stadium, he's been stellar. That's the only run he's only given it 1 run with the Cardinals in 4 starts. And with the thing is that Yankee Stadium, it's not like he was bad at Yankee Stadium at all. He wasn't bad at Yankee Stadium. It's just he had a 370. No, hold on. Just lost it. I just had it. He had a 3.72 ERA at Yankee Stadium this year, so not amazing. Probably was hurt a little bit by the short porch and right. Whereas St. Louis, at least that I can think of, isn't like a crazy home run hitting ballpark. So maybe it's ballpark dimensions helping out a little bit. Defense behind him too, because it's not like he's just randomly started striking out everyone or stuff like that. I don't think he's going to be able to keep this up forever. I lost to probably a lot of these National League guys. I haven't seen him a bunch, but I do think there is a little bit of a correlation between that defense helping him a little bit. But like you said, he
Yeah,
is
that's a
pitching
really
over his
good
head.
point. That's a really good point that I had not thought of. I mean, he's a ground ball pitcher. He pitches to contact. He's not high strikeout, and I had not really thought about what a great catcher he's working with and what a great defense he's working with. So when you put it like that, now, yeah, that's everything seems to make a lot more sense. Probably again, add in the factor that he's pretty ticked off about the trade and has something to prove as a chip on his shoulder. It explains a lot right now. But again, good for him. And if he stays there and signs a long-term deal in St. Louis, that might be a great fit for him. And I wish him the best. Unlike, a guy like Joey Gallo.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big thing too. Sometimes it's just fit, whether it's the team, just the city, the ballpark. Sometimes some fits are better. And maybe St. Louis is a great fit for Jordan Montgomery. Like you said, he probably is pitching a little bit over his head. But yeah, that defense behind him, I would think, is definitely helping him. But that's gonna wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts before we close this thing off?
Oh man, again, I think it was a really fun talking about this. I hadn't really thought of it, this concept. I think it was a great idea. You had to think of it like this: the guys that left the Yankees at the trade deadline and how they came across, how they're playing now. Again, I didn't even realize Joey Gallo had 3 home runs because I've just blocked that guy out of my memory. But I was following Sears and Monty, and I'm just happy to see both those guys doing well. And like you said, I mean, you nailed it with both of them. Sears, just it stinks when you have to give somebody, you have to give, it has to hurt when you trade, but so it's unfortunate he was the guy. And Monty just, hey, he got put in a great situation, so I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, 100%. I think I don't think I could have wrapped that thing up better. So yeah, make sure to check out all the links in the description, all the Bleacher Bros links, the podcast, the website, the Instagram, and the Twitter, plus all the cruise stories will also be down there. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we upload. And yeah, make sure to check out Twitter because we're doing Twitter Space, I think, every week for a live podcast, or at least every other week. We're doing it a decent amount. So keep an eye out for those if you want to ask us questions live. Keep an eye out for those and join them. So if you guys want to ask us anything live, you want to just get in on the podcast, that's where to do it on Twitter, on the Bleacher Brawl account. Like I said, it'll be in the description. That's going to wrap it up, though. For John, I'm Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.